All right, let's talk about how you connect Signaliz to Claude. I think that's probably the number one request I get, and people struggle a little bit with this as they're not familiar with custom connectors. We built that out to kind of show you how to do that as well in the tool. So let me just show you where it is, and then we'll just do it, right? So if you go into settings, and then down, let's see, where is that? Connect, and then use, let's see, connect AI clients. And then we've got a step-by-step here, set up in Claude, right? So Claude uses custom connectors, and essentially it's this URL right here plus your API key. This is very similar to other platforms as well. So you're going to need an API key. You can grab that API key up here where you go to API keys and you can just create it. So I'll create an API key. We'll call it Claude and I'll create the key and then I'm just going to copy it, right? So I can show you how to put it in Claude. So back to AI client setup, just to kind of show you how to do this and then we'll actually do it. You go into Claude, you hit customize, you go to connectors. It's a little bit different if you're on an enterprise plan, but it's essentially the same thing. Find where connectors is. Then you add a custom connector. So you see how you're just taking that URL, which goes all the way to the question mark, API key, and then you're pasting your API key. And that's it. Once you do that and hit add, it's going to connect. So let me show you that in Claude. So in our Claude, if I go into settings here, and there's connectors, and you see I have a bunch of MCPs, right? But here's Signaliz. And if you notice here, right, it's that URL plus the API key, right? And so one of the tricks I like to tell people is like, unless you want to improve everything that Signaliz does, just go in once you make the connection, hit always allow. Now, again, depending on your security policies and everything else, you could decide if you want to do that or not. We don't do that much stuff, right? So, I mean, we do a lot, but as you can see right here, company signal enrichment, enrich company signals, which is bulk, find and verify emails, signal to copy, etc. Right? So we've got several tools here. They're the same thing. Some are for bulk enrichment, some are for just singular enrichment, right? Once you do that, you're now connected to specifically to Claude AI. And then I'm going to show you how easy it is, right? So I can say like, find me signals for, let's just say HubSpot using Signaliz, right? And you're going to see what happens here, right? So obviously Claude needs to get its bearing. It knows it needs to access the Signaliz platform because I said Signaliz. I've got a skill in here to make it even more fun for me. We have a GitHub. You can copy those skills if you want, but I'm just going to show you what Claude's doing. It's looking at this skill that I built to make my results even more specific for our campaigns. But even if you don't have that skill, it'll still do what it does. It found the tool here. Signaliz enrich company signals. You can see all the behind the scenes there of that. And then it's enriching company signals. So it's going through and looking for HubSpot. And then in a minute, it will come back with the signals. And you're probably thinking like, look, Josh, this is kind of slow. And I want you to remember, like, first of all, this is, it's getting its bearings, right? Claude moves at the speed it wants. I think I'm using Fable 5 right here. So surprisingly, you may think it's slow, but it works just as fast if you're doing thousands of signals, right? But the key thing is it works, and that's what matters, right? So if you look here, we got 7 signals on HubSpot in the last 90 days, right? And detailed information. And so I could ask more of this information, but I got a lot of signals on HubSpot that are across different categories, right? And so that's what's cool about Signaliz. Now imagine doing this 1,000 at a time. If you're on the unlimited plan, you could do this unlimited amount of times. But that's why it works. It accessed Signaliz, it pulled real-time signals on HubSpot. And I could tell it like I only want signals in the last 90 days. It's referring to changes that were made on July 1st, growth and earnings that were done on May 8th. So it has a lot of capability to go as deep as you want to, but this will be a good place to stop so we can show you how to connect to the next tool.